Kaliningrad is one of the most unusual and mysterious cities in Russia. It is impossible to compare it with Moscow or St. Petersburg or with any other Russian city. Kaliningrad lives in its own rhythm, combining European architecture, German historical heritage, the Soviet past, and modern Russian reality. The city is located on the coast of the Baltic Sea between Poland and Lithuania and is separated from the main territory of Russia. This geographical position has made Kaliningrad unique, not only politically, but also culturally. Many people who visit the city for the first time experience a strange feeling, as if they are simultaneously in Russia and somewhere in Europe. The history of Kaliningrad began long before the appearance of its current name. In the 13th century, Knights of the Teutonic Order founded the fortress of Königsberg on the site of the modern city. The name meant King's Mountain. The city quickly became an important trade center of the Baltic region. Trade routes connecting Europe with Eastern territories passed through it. Königsberg developed as a cultural and educational center, with universities, libraries, and scientific societies being established there. Over time, the city became one of the most famous cities of East Prussia. A special role in the history of Königsberg was played by the philosopher Immanuel Kant. He was born, lived, and worked there. Kant is considered one of the greatest thinkers in human history. Remarkably, the philosopher almost never left his hometown, yet his ideas changed world philosophy forever. Today, Kant's name is inseparably connected with Kaliningrad. His grave is located near the cathedral, and the philosopher himself has become a symbol of the city. Before World War II, Königsberg was considered one of the most beautiful German cities. It had ancient districts, narrow streets, Gothic cathedrals, university buildings, bridges, and fortresses. The city possessed the unique atmosphere of old Europe. However, the war changed everything. During the bombings by the British Air Force and the later assault by Soviet troops, Königsberg was heavily destroyed. Many historical buildings disappeared forever. After the war, the territory of East Prussia was divided, and Königsberg became part of the Soviet Union. In 1946, the city was renamed Kaliningrad after Soviet politician Mikhail Kalinin. After the war, the German population almost completely left the city. In their place came settlers from different parts of the USSR, from Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, and other republics. As a result, the city practically began a new history from scratch. Despite this, the German past continued to be felt everywhere, in the architecture, street layouts, old buildings, and even in the overall atmosphere of the city. Today, Kaliningrad is an amazing combination of several eras. Here you can see an old German villa standing next to a Soviet apartment building, while across the street there may be a modern business center or a cozy European-style cafe. It is precisely this mixture that creates the city's special atmosphere and distinguishes Kaliningrad from any other Russian city. One of the city's main features is its architecture. Although the war destroyed much of old Königsberg, some districts still preserve their historical appearance. The most famous of them is Amalienau. This area resembles a small European town from the early 20th century. Narrow green streets, elegant German villas, red-tiled roofs, old trees, and quiet courtyards create the impression that time has stopped there. Walking through Amalienau, it is hard to believe that you are in Russia. Many tourists come there specifically to experience the atmosphere of old Europe. The main symbol of Kaliningrad is the cathedral located on Kant Island. This majestic Gothic structure was built in the 14th century. The cathedral survived the war, although it suffered serious damage. Later it was restored, and today it is one of the most recognizable places in the city. Organ concerts are regularly held inside, attracting many visitors. Nearby lies the grave of Immanuel Kant. This place is considered not only a historical monument, but also a spiritual center of the city. Not far from the cathedral is the fishing village, one of Kaliningrad's most popular districts. Although this quarter was built in the 21st century, it was designed in the style of old Königsberg. Beautiful houses with towers, cozy restaurants, hotels, and promenades are located there. In the evening, the fishing village becomes especially beautiful. Lights reflect in the water, music can be heard everywhere, and the atmosphere resembles small towns in Germany or Poland. Kaliningrad cannot be imagined without amber. The largest amber reserves in the world are located there. Amber is often called the sunstone because of its warm golden color. Millions of years ago, it was ordinary tree resin that gradually fossilized over time. About 90% of the world's amber is mined in the Kaliningrad region, which is why the city is often called the amber capital of the world. Amber can be found everywhere in Kaliningrad. It is sold in souvenir shops, used for jewelry, figurines, and decorative items. One of the most interesting places in the city is the Amber Museum. There, visitors can see rare pieces of amber, ancient insects preserved inside the stone, and enormous amber nuggets. For many tourists, visiting this museum becomes one of the brightest impressions of their trip. The Baltic Sea plays a special role in the life of the region. It shapes the climate, mood, and character of Kaliningrad. The Baltic Sea is known for its calmness and harsh northern beauty. There is rarely extreme heat, but fog, wind, and gray skies are common, creating a unique romantic atmosphere. The sea air makes the climate milder than in many other Russian regions. Winters are usually not very cold, while summers remain pleasantly cool. One of the most beautiful places in the region is Curonian Spit. This unique sand spit separates the Baltic Sea from the Curonian Lagoon. The Curonian Spit is included in the UNESCO World Heritage List and is considered one of the most unusual natural places in Europe. Huge sand dunes, pine forests, deserted beaches, and endless sea landscapes create an almost unreal impression. Particularly famous is the dancing forest, where trees are twisted into strange spirals and rings. Scientists still cannot fully explain why the trees took such unusual forms. The nature of the Kaliningrad region differs greatly from the landscapes typically associated with Russia. There are no huge mountains or endless taiga forests, but there is a unique northern beauty. Gentle hills, dense forests, seashores, old lighthouses, and long sandy beaches create a calm and harmonious atmosphere. Many people come there specifically for the feeling of solitude and closeness to nature. Kaliningrad is interesting not only because of its history and nature, but also because of its everyday urban life. Coffee shops, bakeries, and family-owned restaurants are very popular there. The city strongly reflects a European culture of leisure. People enjoy slow walks along the embankments, evening gatherings in cafes, and weekend trips to the sea. Kaliningrad has many cyclists, green parks, and comfortable public spaces, which creates a sense of peace and balance. The local cuisine also deserves special attention. It was formed under the influence of Russian, German, and Baltic traditions. In local restaurants, visitors can try smoked fish, eel, herring, seafood dishes, and old Prussian recipes. One of the symbols of the region is marzipan, a sweet made from almonds and sugar. Even during the Königsberg era, local marzipan was famous throughout Europe. Today, this tradition remains alive, and tourists often buy marzipan as a souvenir. Kaliningrad also has a special cultural atmosphere. Music festivals, exhibitions, theatrical performances, and historical reenactments are regularly held there. Due to its proximity to Europe, the city has always been open to cultural exchange. European influence can be seen in the urban environment, music, gastronomy, and even in the local lifestyle. Interestingly, many military fortifications have survived in Kaliningrad. In the 19th century, a system of forts and defensive structures was built around Königsberg. Some of them still exist today. The old forts look extremely atmospheric. Massive brick walls, underground tunnels, moats, and casemates resemble scenes from historical films. Today, many forts are open to tourists. One of the most discussed aspects of Kaliningrad is its unusual geographical position. The city is effectively a Russian exclave in Europe. This creates a unique regional identity. Many residents of Kaliningrad feel somewhat different from people living in other Russian cities. European influence is stronger there, and life itself seems calmer and more measured. Despite its complicated history, Kaliningrad has managed to preserve its unique identity. It is a city of contrasts, where the past and the present constantly intertwine. Here you can see the remains of a German fortress next to a modern shopping center, hear organ music in a Gothic cathedral, and then walk through Soviet streets or modern embankments. Kaliningrad is especially beautiful in autumn. At this time, the city is covered with fog, the trees turn golden, and the moist sea air creates a special mood. Autumn Kaliningrad resembles the scenery of a European film. In summer, the city fills with tourists, street musicians, and sea air. People walk along the embankments, relax in cafes, and travel to the Baltic coast. Winter in Kaliningrad is also beautiful in its own way. Severe frosts are rare, but rain and snow are common. During the Christmas season, the streets are decorated with lights, Christmas markets open, and the European architecture creates an especially cozy atmosphere. Many tourists note that wintertime Kaliningrad resembles small German or Polish towns. In spring, the city awakens after the long gray winter. Parks and streets become green again, cafe terraces reopen, and the sea gradually warms up. Spring arrives slowly there, but it is incredibly beautiful. One of the reasons for Kaliningrad's popularity is its unusual emotional atmosphere. This city does not impress visitors with giant skyscrapers or luxury. Its beauty is more subtle and calm. Kaliningrad attracts people with its sense of history, silence, and northern romance. It is a place where you want to walk slowly, look at old buildings, sit in small coffee shops, and listen to the wind coming from the Baltic Sea. Many travelers say that Kaliningrad leaves behind a special feeling of gentle sadness mixed with comfort. Perhaps this is connected with its difficult history and mixture of cultures. The presence of the past is constantly felt in the city. Old German buildings, ruins, bridges, and forts remind visitors of the times of Königsberg, while Soviet architecture tells another story, the story of the 20th century. Today, Kaliningrad continues to develop actively. New public spaces, modern residential districts, museums, restaurants, and tourist routes are appearing in the city. At the same time, it tries to preserve its historical heritage and unique atmosphere. More and more people come there not only as tourists, but also to live. Kaliningrad attracts them with its calmness, proximity to the sea, and distinctive urban lifestyle. It is difficult to describe this city with just one word. For some people, it feels like a piece of Europe inside Russia. For others, it is a place with a difficult and fascinating history. And for others, it is simply a cozy Baltic city filled with rain, amber, and sea air. But almost everyone who has visited Kaliningrad at least once says that it is unlike any other Russian city. That is exactly its main uniqueness. Kaliningrad is a city of memory, sea, wind, old streets, and an extraordinary mixture of eras. Here, the past never completely disappears, while modernity carefully coexists with history. The city does not try to impress with grand symbols or luxury. Instead, it gradually reveals itself through details: the sound of trams, the smell of the sea, the red roofs of old houses, organ music in the cathedral, and the cold Baltic wind. For this reason, Kaliningrad remains one of the most unusual, atmospheric, and unforgettable cities in Russia, a place people want to return to again and again.